What's good with you? It's your boy 2A and LA, and as always, fam, anything I say in this episode, prior episodes, and future episodes is just my personal opinion. Don't take it as fact. Don't take it as law. Always do your own homework and come up with your own conclusions. Right about now, fam, I should go ahead and tap that like button for your boy. If you're new to the channel, I want to say welcome. Come on in. You can join the congregation by smashing that subscribe button and requesting all post notifications. And if you are an existing supporter of this channel, fam, I appreciate you more than you can possibly imagine. You are the reason this channel is anything. Alright, fam, before we get this episode rolling, just a couple of disclaimers. I do not sell firearms, nor do I promote the sale of firearms or accessories or anything that would constitute a violation of YouTube community guidelines. Any reviews that I do on firearms or accessories are just that. They are for review purposes only. And if I reference the gun manufacturer or the company that happened to supply the product, I am just referencing that for disclosure purposes. All right? Now, fam, look. If you are not a member of the 2A in LA fan club, I do not know what you are doing at this point in time. As a member of the fan club, you receive unreleased content. You'll receive content early. You become automatically eligible for all the giveaways that we do in our bi-weekly live streams, fam. Look. I believe I offer some of the best giveaway opportunities on YouTube. So make sure you're a member of the fam club. It's only $2.99 a month. Just click on that join button down below. And if you are interested in any of the 2A in LA merchandise, just hit that QR code in the corner. You see it. You see it right there. That will take you to the 2A in LA channel. Also, you can sign up to participate in a lot of our giveaways there. So make sure you hit that QR code. All right, that's it. Now let's get back into the episode. All right, fam, let's get this episode rolling. So look, fam, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Cosaint Arms. I feel like Cosaint Arms is one of those emerging companies. I've said this in multiple videos now that we should really be keeping our eye on. I feel like the quality and the craftsmanship and the fit and finish of their guns continue to get better. And so Cosaint Arms partnered with Your Unique Firearms to bring you the Alpha. This gun is a full-size V12 ported. I'll let you guys check that out. All metal gun, chili grip, aluminum grip, steel frame, steel slide. Look, the gun is very well done. And shout out to Your Unique Firearms and Cosaint for sending this out to the channel for testing. Now, I think the goal with this partnership between Unique Firearms and Cosaint is that, you know, Cosaint is going to do their traditional lines, their traditional guns. They're going to partner with Your Unique Firearms to do a series of limited run drops. The Alpha being the first of which. And so look, I think there are some phenomenal things about this gun. And I think there's a few things that I would improve upon for myself. So look, why don't we jump into the review? Alright, fam, so if you haven't seen the 2A in LA review, here's the way it works. 0, hot garbage, worst possible pistol ever made. 100, best possible pistol ever made, but also affordable. Never had a gun get a 0, never had a gun get 100, but we might be tackling that 100 perspective at some point in the near future. If you got something 50 to 60, that's right down the middle. Gonna go bang every time. Very reliable. Just no real feels or thrills. If you got something 60 to 70, okay, that gun has a feature or two that separates itself from the mean. If you got something kind of 70 to 80, okay, now you've got a gun that has multiple features and has stepped itself up, particularly from a shootability perspective. If you got something 80 to 89, well, now you're talking about best in class type guns, especially if they're like 85 to 89. And if you've got something that's 90 or above, that's a grail gun. All right, fam, let's start off with fit and finish. Look, it's a Cosaint gun. Like I said, high quality parts, very well machined, all metal gun, chili grip. Look, the gun is well made. There is no doubt about it. Now, this is a specially done for this drop tri-colored Cerakote. And I gotta say, the quality of the Cerakote is top notch. Is it DVC? Is it gonna be as durable as a DVC? Probably not. But I think it's incredibly well done in terms of the quality. Do you like the color scheme? That's a different story for a different category. But I'd say it's very, very well done. So look, all around, all in all, fit and finish, I think they did an outstanding job. I'm going to give it a 14 out of a possible 15 for fit and finish. All right, fam. Next up, reliability. Look, if it's a Cosaint gun, I just assume that the gun is going to be reliable. I ran this gun, a lot of rounds through the gun, probably close to about 1,000 rounds through it. The gun was very, very accurate. And for the most part, I had no issues. There was a couple of times where the gun didn't go bang, and it was because I wasn't engaging that grip safety, and we'll get to that a little bit more. I have just gotten spoiled because most of my firearms, most of my 2011s, over 40 plus, I don't think at this point any of them have a grip safety on them. Some of them came with grip safeties, which I subsequently pinned. Maybe there's one or two, but for the most part, I am not a grip safety guy. I don't plan on, this is not a carry pistol for me. The fact that it has thumb safeties and ambi-thumb safeties in place is more than enough. So I would delete that grip safety. That said, from a reliability perspective, I found the gun to be very reliable. We're going to give it a 14 out of a possible 15 for reliability. All right, fam. Next up, durability. Again, all metal gun, excellent construction. You know, we talked about the coating relative to it being Cerakote versus DLC or PVD coating. That said, I think the gun is just incredibly well constructed and done. For durability, we're going to give it a 14 out of a possible 15. All right, fam. Next up, trigger. Look, I believe this is a red dirt trigger. I will say this. I feel like the trigger rate relative to a lot of, like my Cosaint, which has an Atlas trigger in it, and other Cosaint guns that I've operated, I feel like the trigger is a little heavy. I mean, it's a clear defined wall. It's a crisp, clean break. It's a short reset. There's nothing, it's not that it's a bad trigger per se, just heavier than I probably would like it. I'll go ahead and put the pull weight up there, but it feels like 3 1/4, 3.5 pounds. Again, I'll put the trigger weight up there so you guys have it. If it were me, if I had my druthers, I'd like to see this trigger pulling somewhere between 2 and 2.5 pounds. That's where I kind of like my triggers to sit. I think a lot of people who are buying guns kind of in this price range have that kind of expectation for their gun. So the trigger and the grip safety are the two kind of functional areas where I feel like the gun could use a little improvement. For trigger, we're going to give this a 12 out of a possible 15. All right, fam. Next up, accuracy. Look, 5-inch bull barrel. The gun is incredibly accurate. We did some standing testing from like 15 yards, 20 yards, 25 yards, very small hand size groups in all three, and that's unassisted. Even at higher rates of speed, I found with the porting system that the gun stayed incredibly flat. The dot never left the window. I really like it. I think it's an accurate shooting gun. If you're considering this for competition, I think you would be well served and to have a gun. Now this is going to put you in open, unfortunately, because of the porting, and you definitely want to get rid of this grip safety. But whether it's competition, range toy, whatever the case may be, this gun will get the job done. For accuracy, we're going to give it a 9 out of a possible 10. Next up, ergonomics. Look, fam, love it. Love it. I feel like this Chile, look, Chile makes great grips. This Chile grip feels phenomenal in the hand. It's got the perfect amount of texture. The gun is incredibly well balanced. The one complaint I would have, again, is this grip safety. Depending on how you grip your gun, it is very possible for the trigger to lock up on you because the grip safety is not fully engaged. And so that's the only ergonomic flaw that I see with the gun. Other than that, I think the gun is perfect. For ergonomics, we're going to give it a 9 out of a possible 10. These next two categories, fam, we're going to lump them together, and that is aftermarket support, maintenance, and upkeep. Look, it's 2011. Got to keep it clean. Every 1,000 rounds or so, break it down, clean it out, keep it oiled. You're not going to have any issues. Aftermarket support, more and more is coming online, seemingly on a daily basis. More companies are manufacturing 2011s, and consequently more companies are providing aftermarket support. So we're going to give it a 4 out of 5 for aftermarket support and a 4 out of 5 for maintenance and upkeep. Next up, affordability. Look, fam, I got to say, I'll go ahead and I'll put the MSRP up there. For what you're getting, I think this is a very, very reasonably priced, high value firearm. Like I said, componentry, machining, you name it, it's very, very well done. Accuracy, porting, you know, aesthetics, if you like the aesthetic, and we'll get into that in a minute, then I think you're winning. You're winning at a sub $4,000 price point for this gun. I think it's really just a matter of, are you okay with the grip safety? Do you mind? Are you either okay with it, or are you going to pin it after the fact? Get this trigger pulled down maybe a little bit if that's your jam. And other than that, I mean, this gun from a functionality standpoint is good to go. I feel like it's a very high value firearm. Look, almost $4,000 is still not cheap. That goes without saying, but I think it's a good value buy. For affordability, this gun is going to give you a 3 out of a possible 5. All right, fam, last but not least, flex. Look, this is where I feel the rubber meets the road with this gun. I did a survey on my social media about the aesthetics of the gun, and kind of what it was is half the people weren't really feeling like the tri-colored Cerakote camo, and the other half, probably like 25%, were indifferent and 25% loved it. And so I think this is one of those guns, either you kind of love it or hate it in terms of the aesthetic. Would I have done this gun quite this way? Maybe not, probably not. You know, I got to talk to my guys at Your Unique Firearms and at Cosaint and see, you know, if they let me. I really like to take this gun and do a 2A in LA version of it, and then bring it back to the channel, re-review it, and get you guys input on it. And if you want, maybe that's something that they would be open to. Maybe that would be an option that you could add to it if you wanted to. But look, I think the gun is very, very well done. I think if you like the aesthetic, there's very little to complain about relative to this gun. I think it is a flex. Having a Cosaint just in and of itself is a flex. And the fact that they partnered with Your Unique Firearms to create a gun that doesn't look like every other black DLC 2011 on the market out there, I think is admirable. Flex, we're going to give it a 3 out of a possible 5. All right, fam, if you add all of that up, you get an 88 out of a possible 100 points. Look, well done. Well done. Again, I think that there's just a couple fundamental things that I would change to increase the overall shootability of the gun. I would lower that trigger pull weight. I get it down to 2.5 or 2.5 pounds or less. I would delete that grip safety from a shootability perspective. I think at that point you're winning in terms of the way the gun shoots. And I think from an aesthetic perspective, I would go in a different direction. I would DLC that barrel, and I would maybe do something similar but different to find something that would be more appealing to the masses versus a distinct few. I think that's going to increase the overall demand for the gun. You guys let me know what you think about the aesthetics of the gun down in the description. All right, that's it for this episode, fam. Until next time, as always, take care of one another and peace.